I've always believed that food can tell you everything you need to know about a place. The smell, the texture, the plating, even the silence or noise that surrounds a dish, it all says something. So naturally, as someone who considers herself a bit of a food adventurer, I've tried it all. Roadside yam and egg by the park. Coconut rice at a beach shack. Spaghetti bolognese from a woman named Mama Fatima who swore she studied culinary arts in Italy, though her only stamp was from Benin Republic. And I've never had regrets, until that one day. I was 23, freshly employed, and living alone for the first time in my life. You know that phase where independence tastes like freedom, until it starts tasting like cup noodles every night. That was me. I was working in Ikoyi but living in the mainland, and Lagos traffic was slowly teaching me lessons no parent ever could. Time, I learned, was the real currency of adulthood. That, and finding decent food without needing a loan. So on one particular Friday, when my office AC broke down and my boss decided to push deadlines forward, I knew I needed a treat. Not ice cream, not shawarma, not jollof rice from the woman downstairs who always used too much time. I wanted something new, something that said, "You're doing great, girl." Self-care, you know. That's when I saw it. A small spot tucked beside a print shop, just past the busier food places near the roundabout. No name, just a handwritten board that said, "Fresh, clean and homemade. Come taste the difference." Now, I should have known. Any restaurant that describes itself with 3 adjectives and no actual name should raise eyebrows. But I was tired, hot, and hungry. Logic had already checked out for the day. The place looked clean, at least on the outside. There were 2 young girls sitting inside eating and laughing. An older woman, probably the cook, was behind the glass counter arranging plates. I went in. Ordered white rice with stew and fried plantain. Classic, safe, foolproof. But the first sign was the water. Lukewarm. And not the bottle, it came in a reused Fonte bottle. I smiled politely, wiped the top, and set it aside. I should have left then. The food came fast. The rice looked fine, the plantain was slightly overfried but edible. The stew was suspicious. Too red, too oily, and it smelled faintly like fish, despite the absence of any insight. But again, I was hungry. I ate it all. Here's the thing about food that's not meant for you, it doesn't shout immediately. It waits. It finds a quiet corner inside your body and settles. Like a tenant. Then, when you're least expecting it, it throws a party. By 7 p.m., the party started. I was still at work, waiting for a file to render on my system. My stomach made a sound that could have been used in a horror film. I laughed it off, drank water, adjusted my seat. 10 minutes later, I was bent over the sink in the restroom, sweating like I'd run from mile 2 to Yoba. My stomach wasn't turning, it was flipping. I went home thinking it was a minor reaction. Maybe too much pepper, I told myself. Maybe the plantain oil was old. I drank ginger tea. I slept early. I woke up at 2:12 a.m. with my stomach in full rebellion. That's when the real nightmare started. I spent the entire weekend between bed and bathroom. By Monday, I'd lost my voice, my energy, and possibly a piece of my soul. I texted my boss that I had food poisoning. She replied okay with a full stop. No sympathy. I almost cried. But the worst part wasn't even the sickness. It was the realization that came after. When I felt well enough to eat again, about a week later, I went back to that same street, not to eat, but to understand what I'd missed. I wanted to find the woman, ask what was in the stew, maybe even warn her politely about hygiene. But the place was gone. Not like, closed for the day. I mean gone. The board was gone. The tables. The counter. No trace. like it never existed. The printing guy next door told me, there's never been any food place there. I stared at him. I ate there last Friday. He frowned. That shop has been empty since January. It's been locked for months. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. He didn't laugh. He pointed to the lock on the door. Rusted. Old. Dust on the windows. I walked away slowly, confused, and maybe slightly shaken. I even checked my phone to see if I had photos from that day. Nothing. Not even a bank alert I'd paid in cash. I stood there thinking, what just happened? I know what you're thinking. It sounds wild. Maybe I was dehydrated and imagined the whole thing. Maybe my body was already reacting to something earlier and the food was just the trigger. Maybe the restaurant was real, but not licensed, and had to clear out fast. But whatever it was, it changed something in me. Not just about food, but about how we trust things simply because they look okay. You'd think that was the end of it. That I moved on, became cautious, and never ate out again. But no. Life had one more twist waiting. And that came 2 months later, at a birthday party. 2 months after the incident, that's what I now call it, I was feeling better. My body had bounced back, my trust in street food had not. I started bringing lunch to work, drinking more water, even learning how to make basic dishes. I became that person who reads food labels and wipes down cutlery at fast food joints. It wasn't fear, it was wisdom. Or so I thought. Enter Simi. My childhood friend turned influencer turned occasional tornado. She invited me to her birthday. The invite was so pink and sparkly it gave me a headache. But I love her, and she promised it would be low-key, just intimate vibes, at a private Airbnb somewhere in Lekki. She said the magic words, no clubbing. Just food, games, and gist. I asked, are we ordering food or is it being catered? She laughed like I had told the best joke ever. Catered, of course. From that lady that did Beo's engagement party. Her name's Blessing Kitchen or something. Her food is mad. I should have known. I should have remembered how the worst decisions start with, her food is mad. But I went. I wore jeans that actually fit, my wig was sitting like royalty, and my eyeshadow did not betray me. I showed up smiling, ready for gist and laughter and maybe a slice of cake. The living room was cozy, music low, candles burning in glass jars like we were at a Pinterest worship service. Then the food came out. Let me not lie, visually, it was a masterpiece. Fried rice with visible prawn bits. Barbecue wings that glisten under fairy lights. Steamed momo in leaf wraps that looked like they came straight from an ancestral cookbook. I was cautious but curious. I scooped small portions onto my plate. I told myself, you're not overthinking. You're just being wise. And honestly, everything smelled great. Better than great. Tempting. So I ate. And that's when I realized something, trauma doesn't just live in your mind. It lives in your tongue too. Every bite was delicious, but every chew came with anxiety. My body was enjoying it, but my brain was screaming, don't trust this. Still, I pushed past it. Peer pressure is real even when no one is pressuring you. Sometimes it's just you, your appetite, and your memory playing tug of war. An hour in, I was still fine. I relaxed. I took a second helping of the rice. A bigger piece of chicken. I even joined in a card game and won a round. My stomach wasn't turning. My head was clear. I started to think, maybe I was too paranoid before. Maybe not every hidden spot is dangerous. But just as I was reaching for a cupcake, something happened. Simi pulled me aside and whispered, please don't freak out, but the caterer isn't the one I originally hired. Excuse me. She explained that the original lady bailed last minute and her cousin hooked her up with someone who just started her catering business. She showed me the woman's Instagram, 2 posts, one of which was fufu shaped like a heart. The page had 38 followers. I just stared at her. So you mean, where the test run? She nodded, chewing her meat pie. I think so. But the food is nice, right? See, that's the moment I should have left. But I didn't. I smiled, pretended I was okay, then quietly found my bag and sat down far from the buffet. I wasn't sick. I wasn't reacting. But mentally, I was doing backflips. All my survival alarms were ringing. When I got home later that night, I didn't get food poisoning. I didn't vomit. No dreams, no sweats, no haunting memories. But I made a decision that stuck with me. I wrote something down and stuck it to my fridge. Not all hunger is meant to be satisfied immediately. It sounds simple, even dramatic, but that line saved me more than once. Every time I saw a new food plug online or a friend recommended a hole-in-the-wall joint, I remembered that note. It wasn't just about food anymore. It was about people, places, invitations, experiences. Just because it looks good doesn't mean it's good for you. And that, right there, is the real reason you should not eat at just any restaurant. Because sometimes, it's not the food that poisons you. It's the decision behind it.